What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update and stimulus package update. The U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote on and pass the third stimulus check bill today. I'm going to give you the latest details on that, but the details are really what matters and what is going to happen at the finish line of the third stimulus check package bill. I'm going to give you all the details because honestly, the details are kind of crazy right now. And the bill that finishes, that gets the money in your pocket, could be very different than the bill they're voting on right now today. I'm going to give you the latest details of it in this video, when to expect the money, how much money is in this package, and more. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on updates on the third stimulus check package and the next stimulus package called the Build Back Better package that they've already announced and will be $2 to $3 trillion also, as well as the other things we cover, such as student loan forgiveness. Biden says he's willing to do at least $10,000 of student loan forgiveness per person, Social Security increases, mortgage and rental assistance, and more. Don't forget to hit the like button for us, and let's jump right in. First, if you don't think that Congress is crazy enough, Mitch McConnell steps up to the plate and says, "Hold my beer. Let me try to top that for you." Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who lost the Senate just recently, says that he would vote for Trump again just days after accusing him of being, quote, practically and morally responsible for the riots and the insurrection that happened on January 6th. Mitch McConnell actually voted to acquit him in the impeachment trial. He did not vote to convict him of that. But then, literally hours after saying that he acquitted him, that he basically blamed President Donald Trump and said he was at fault, and it was completely his fault. And basically, President Donald Trump actually kind of backlashed at him and said that he would never speak to Mitch McConnell again. And now, just a few days later, Mitch McConnell says that he would vote for Trump again. I don't even understand. Like, how does this make any sense? Mitch McConnell's previous statement is, quote, "Former President Trump's actions that preceded the riot were a disgraceful dereliction of duty. Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day." However, when Mitch McConnell was just asked if the president was the party's nominee, former President Donald Trump, would you support him? And Mitch McConnell replied with, "The nominee of the Republican Party? Then absolutely." This partisanship, and honestly, I can't just say it's just Republicans because Democrats do the same thing. They're so hypocritical of each other. It's like they'll vote along party lines no matter what, whether they like the person, don't like. That's why I really like I consider myself a realist and independent, because there's so many things that I don't agree with on both sides, the Republican side and the Democrat side, that I can't picture how do you say someone's a disgrace, it's their fault, and not convict them, but then say that you'll vote for them, but that they're a disgrace to the party. You let me know your thoughts down below in the comments because I cannot figure it out. There's also 13 House Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives that are voting tonight on the third stimulus package vote by proxy, citing the pandemic is the reason they're voting by proxy. But those 13 House Republicans are actually speaking at a conference, a Republican conference called CPAC. With that being said, well, I guess he considered himself an independent, but mostly he's a Democrat. Senator Bernie Sanders, the Senate Budget Chairman, he's not happy either. He's literally, I think he's going to lose the rest of the hair that he has left because he's not happy. Let me show you.
Now, let me tell you about a setback that I just learned about an hour ago. As all of you know, all of us together have demanded an end to starvation wages in America. We know that a $7.25 federal minimum wage is insane. It is a starvation wage, and we got to raise it to at least $15 an hour over the next several years. Without boring you about the incredibly obtuse and undemocratic rules of the Senate Turns out that an unelected person, who's called a parliamentarian of the Senate, can determine whether the minimum wage provision was germane to the overall bill. And just an hour ago, or 2 hours ago, she ruled that it was not. It was not. And I strongly disagree with her. And we have the absurd situation. 60% of the American people in polls want to raise the minimum wage. House of Representatives has voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. President of the United States wants a $15 an hour minimum wage. And I believe that in a large package, we can barely, but we could do it, get the Senate to approve that. And you got an unelected parliamentarian using, because of the Senate rules that we have, saying that we cannot do it, denying 30 million Americans a pay raise. So we're going to deal with this. We're not able, I don't want anybody out there to think that we're giving up. We got a number of ideas about how we're going to come back.
We'll circle back around to that, but some families could receive up to $14,000 in the third stimulus check package, the $1.9 trillion that the House of Representatives is expected to pass tonight. And honestly, some families will actually receive more than $14,000, depending on how many children you have. So let's just start with your average family of four, two adults, two children. That's pretty much the average family. Of course, we have, some smaller, some larger, but we know the average family is 2.2 children in a family. So we're not going to count the 0.2, but four stimulus checks, adults, children, and adult dependents and college student dependents, $1,400 each per person. That alone is a total of $5,600. That is the largest stimulus check yet to date. We know that the previous checks were $1,200 and only $600, and children only got $500 and $600 in the past stimulus packages. This is the largest stimulus check yet to date. Honestly, this is just the first one under the Biden administration. They have promised that there will be stimulus checks and stimulus packages until this pandemic is over. And while Dr. Fauci says that at best, that will be the end of 2021. So we still got another good 9 or 10 months left to go. And I fully expect a lot more to come after this. But a family of four, with the stimulus checks alone, we're looking at $5,600. In addition to that, we're looking at the child tax income credit, which is going to be paid out in monthly stimulus checks. As you can see here, under the legislation that the House is poised to pass Friday evening, literally tonight, more details on that in a minute, most American parents would receive $3,000 a year for every child ages 6 through 17 and $3,600 a year for every child under the age of 6. Families are normally entitled to $2,000 annually in a refundable tax credit per child, an amount that was doubled by Republicans in 2017 with the passage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So when we add this alone, if your children are ages 6 through 17, you're looking at a $3,000 child income tax credit. The IRS is going to actually be paying this out on a monthly basis starting a few months from now. So $250 per month for the course of a year, which will be $3,000. For children under the age of 6 will be $3,600 or $300 per month directly deposited into your bank account or via snail mail check. I highly recommend. I'll be walking you guys through how to set this up when this becomes available here in the coming weeks to do direct deposit, because you don't want to be waiting weeks on every single check. These checks in the mail take a lot longer. They have to print the checks. There's millions of them. Then they got to send them in the mail, and heaven forbid one gets lost or something along those lines. We'll be talking about how to set that up later on when they come out with the details of that. But basically, from the stimulus checks alone, family of four is $5,600. Now, when we have those two children, let's just say that they're both over the age of 6. You're looking at a $3,000 and $3,000 for each one of those. That's an additional $6,000 right there. So when we add the 5,600 with the 6,000, you're looking at $11,600 for a family of four. You can add another $1,200 on that, $600 per child if either the child is below the age of 6. And that's just for two children. You're literally looking at, if children over the age of 6, you're looking at the $3,000 child tax credit that's going to be paid with monthly stimulus checks or monthly checks. Stimulus checks, checks in the mail, tax credit checks are all the same thing, right? It's a check from the government that gives you money. Okay, so you're looking at $3,000 for children over 6, plus the $1,400. So $4,400 for children over the age of 6. And for children under the age of 6, you're looking at $3,600 plus $1,400 for a total of $5,000 per child. So if you have 4 children under the age of 6, you're looking at $20,000. If you have 4 children over the age of 6, you're looking at, what is that, $4,400 times 4. I'm not going to bust out a calculator. You do the math. That's like $18,000, just doing quick rough math. $18,000 for 4 children over the age of 6, and $20,000 for 4 children under the age of 6. So if you have a mix, you're somewhere in between that. But like I said, this is the largest stimulus check package. That doesn't even include the other things in there, such as the unemployment boost. If you or a family member has lost a job during the pandemic, that's going to be boosted to $400 per week and will kick in mid-March. We have the SNAP, WIC, and EBT program increases and extensions, 15% per month. If you are a low-income person, you should really look into and apply for SNAP benefits, basically food stamps. Okay, it's all done through debit cards and stuff like that now. But the SNAP program can pay a family of 4 like $1,000 on average per month, $1,000 every single month. And again, that's for a family of 4. Obviously, if you have less or more, it could be more or less. It's different per state and per area of living. For example, a family of 4 in Hawaii can actually get up to $1,400 per month every single month. So I really recommend you look into and apply for SNAP benefits if you can. There's also the WIC program, Women and Infant Children program. So there's all sorts of these different programs. Those are going to be increased by 15%. And the duration is extended. There's also over $30 billion of mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property tax assistance, and utility assistance in this bill. And like I said, this is the largest bill and checks and all these different programs that are in this package. In the future, we're going to be getting even more, not even counting future stimulus checks. We're going to most likely, probably 80–90% possibility at this point, that there will be a $10,000 student loan forgiveness. President Biden has already said he's okay with and is for the $10,000 student loan forgiveness. Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader, and others are pushing him to go as high as $50,000 in student loan forgiveness. But he said he's already in favor of $10,000. So that'll probably be one of the things next on the horizon, because there's been a lot of support for that, a lot of momentum, a lot of talk. So I fully expect that to happen after the third stimulus check package. About 1 in 6 adults have student loans. And then if we get some momentum going, we'll possibly see that $200 per month increase, and also the other increases that Joe Biden campaigned on in his presidential election campaign of larger increases, yearly increases for Social Security, $200 per month boost, 20% boost for widows and widowers, 5% boost for people that have been on Social Security for over 20 years. And they're expected to raise the tax on people that make over $400,000 to help pay for this. And honestly, they might just print some money, just like they do with stimulus packages. I see a lot of people, I don't see a lot of people, but I see the occasional comments that say, who's going to pay for this? And I used to ask myself that question too, but over the years, I've kind of realized who is going to pay for this. And you know who's going to pay for all these stimulus packages? Nobody. Nobody is going to pay for these packages. Back in 1990, let's go back a little bit to show you the history here. The national deficit was $3 trillion. Okay. Back then, I was just a youngin'. I just turned 40. So I was, a teenager in the 90s and stuff like that. I used to hear my parents and people always say that our children will be saddled with this debt. They'll be burdened with this debt for their whole lives. And taxes will be sky high, and they'll be paying for this stuff forever. Well, guess what? None of that stuff came true. Okay. And that's the reason, because this is just how economics is. We're not the only country that does this. So in 1990, we had $3 trillion of national debt. Now we have $27 trillion of national debt. And you know who's going to pay for that? Nobody. Nobody's going to pay for it. Okay, countries all across the world have national debts. And honestly, we went from 3 trillion to 27 trillion in 30 years. In 30 more years, we'll probably be at $100 trillion. Nobody's going to pay it. Nobody's going to pay it. Nobody's paying back this stimulus package. Those stimulus checks you get, there's no interest on them. They're not paid back. They're not debt. They don't need to be paid back from somebody. There's not interest on them. It's literally just money that the government gives back to taxpayers. They're basically giving you some of your tax money back. Okay. And if you listen to almost any economist right now, they will say that the difference between the national debt being at $22 trillion and $27 trillion is negligible, because if we don't spend our way out of this recession and this depression, this once in 100-year pandemic now, that the American economy and jobs and the American people will suffer for years. For years. In fact, the 2008 recession took 4 years for us to get back to normal employment. 4 years. And if you ask most economists now, they'll say that the U.S. made a mistake back then by not spending more stimulus. Had they have spent more stimulus to keep businesses afloat and give businesses money to hire people and have people not get evicted and be able to pay their rent, that may have taken 2 years. And if they would have been able to cut 2 years off of that recovery and millions of jobs lost, that will literally pay for the entire stimulus packages. And that's what the economists are saying now. Spend money now, because it'll get us out of the recession earlier, and it will be millions of jobs won't be lost by keeping businesses and keeping the economy afloat. So just keep that in mind. This is something I've realized over time. This really isn't debt. It's not interest that's owed. It's not due back. You don't pay it back. It's literally just the taxpayers' money being given back to them, and nobody pays it back. It is what it is. It's just how economics is nowadays. So with that being said, the U.S. House of Representatives is set to vote on and pass the third stimulus check package bill here tonight, literally within a few hours. Okay, they're going to be voting on this bill, and even though the Senate parliamentarian says that the Senate cannot put the $15 an hour minimum wage in this third stimulus package bill, the Democrats are actually literally voting on this bill with the minimum wage here. As you can see, the minimum wage is likely to die in the Senate, but it's also included in the House bill. Okay, so that Nancy Pelosi and the House of Representatives, their version of the bill includes the $15 an hour minimum wage provision. And I also think it's likely to die in the Senate. Bernie Sanders and the Democrats have this, what they're called, it's Plan B, which is another way for them to try to get around this package or this minimum wage not being included, that they're going to try to alter the code or the wording in this bill to make it, it's basically going to have a tax penalty or a tax credit for businesses, a credit if they pay $15 an hour minimum wage, and a penalty if they don't pay $15 an hour minimum wage. And the reason they're doing that with this Plan B is because then that would affect the budget. So then the parliamentarian can re-rule and say, okay, well, now because of the way you worded this bill, the minimum wage can be included in the bill. So the House is going to pass this bill likely tonight with the minimum wage in there, then send it over to the Senate and pass it possibly with that. The problem is that we have 2 or 3 Democratic senators that don't want the $15 an hour minimum wage. And then we have Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who's doubled down and said, if the parliamentarian says it can't be in there, I'm definitely not going to vote for it. So the Democrats are kind of scrambling to figure out how to include the minimum wage and also how to keep all their people on board and not jump ship. So it's going to be a very interesting next few hours and few days. I will have an 11 p.m. video tonight. Do not miss that, because we will possibly have the results of the voting in the third stimulus check package in the House of Representatives. So that will be 11 p.m. Eastern time tonight, which if you're on the West Coast, it's 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're in the middle, it's somewhere in between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. for you. You won't get a notification for that. You only get notifications for the first 3 videos of the day. You get the notifications by subscribing and then clicking the bell icon to all notifications. You only get the notifications for the 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern time videos. You just got to tune in. Just go on YouTube and see if it shows up on your homepage there, the newest video, or not. Just search for It's Jimmy and then watch the 11 p.m. video. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.